Hello and a warm welcome to Agric today on ARSN Television, Mabushi Abuja, Nigeria. I am Khadija Oluwatoyin Amin. This week we shall take a recap of the presentation of the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, on the President BOLA TINUBU'S scorecard in a year in office. Senator Abubakar Kyari at the briefing said the agricultural sector injected an estimated value of 309 billion naira into the Nigerian economy in the last 1 year. He noted that the provision of rural infrastructure, such as the construction of 77.8 kilometers of asphalt roads, construction of 130.9 kilometers of eastern roads, provision of 102 motorized and solar-powered boreholes, and installation of 6,504 solar street lights generated nearly 6,000 jobs in various rural communities. He also listed dams and 8 boreholes, 164 milk collection centers, 8 cottages, feed mills, and 7 livestock centers. The minister further stated that President BOLA TINUBU is in the process of launching Renewed Hope livestock program that would address the nagging issue of farmer-herders clashes. On mechanization, Senator Abubakar Kyari explained that the ministry has signed a memorandum of understanding with John Doe and Tata Africa to assemble in-country and supply 10,000 tractors with implements and accessories at 2,000 units yearly, as well as 100 units of combined harvesters to support farming production. He pointed out that the federal government has partnered with the Brazilian government by providing the sum of 995,000 euros to provide mechanization hubs across the federation. Against the backdrop of these achievements in the first year of President BOLA TINUBU, Senator Kyari underscored that the need for consolidation and scaling up of the achievements as well as development of the agri-industry, agro-tourism sector. He emphasized the need for repositioning and recapitalization of the Bank of Agriculture and the Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation for access to credits and de-risking agricultural production, as well as the strengthening of some institutes and agencies, including the National Agricultural Development Fund, universities, research institutions, and colleges of agriculture to improve agricultural production, food security, and boost export potentials.
Youth in agriculture is very important, and we have established and adopted villages and schools to attract the youth to agriculture. Introduce vocational training programs in federal colleges of agriculture for relevant skill acquisition. In terms of agro-processing and value addition, we have implemented the special agro-processing zone, the SAPZ program, in 8 participating states: Kaduna, Kano, Kwara, Ogun, Oyo, Cross River, Imo State, and FCT, for the production and processing of rice, tomato, granules, and other cash crops. We have also established 2 agribusiness incubation centers and the increased export of agricultural produce. In November last year, Mr. President led a high-powered delegation of which we, some ministers, had accompanied Mr. President to Saudi Arabia for the Saudi African Summit, where I also had the opportunity to engage my Saudi counterpart, the Minister for Agriculture, Water Resources and Environment. In fact, at that meeting, I was accompanied also by my big brother, the Minister for Budget and Planning, where we had far-reaching discussion with the Minister of Agriculture. And there, what we asked them for was that apart from just coming to invest, we also need partnership. What can we do for you as Saudi Arabia? What do you want? What can we produce for you? So that we produce for them and they take it there so that we can earn foreign exchange. That is another key that they are also looking at. Shortly thereafter, just 2-3 weeks ago, I received the same minister here in Nigeria, and we had a far-reaching discussion. We also exposed them to the agribusiness environment, the private sector, which they had a talk on that, and one had just reported to us that outcome of that meeting 3 days after they had returned, they sent a proposal, an inquiry, where if there's a possibility where we can produce 200,000 tons of red meat and 1.1 million metric tons of soybean meal and 1 million metric tons of alfalfa. I must say here that Mr. President, being the chief marketer of Nigeria, the marketer-in-chief, had gone there and had declared to the Saudis that Nigeria is open for business, and I'm happy that is a result of that outcome of that meeting. What are the plans for the ordinary farmer? And you remember we also mentioned in my opening remarks that the ordinary smallholder farmer constitutes the majority of our farmlands today. Almost 90% of our farmlands are occupied by smallholder farmers. Let me ask you a question here also. Who are from the rural farming communities here? Please raise your hand. Rural farming community. Tell me, has your village changed in the last 30 or 40 years? For me, my village has not changed. It's the same. And you think about all the interventions that the previous governments have been doing, all the money that has been spent in agriculture that is meant to target the smallholder farmer who is 90–95% of the production. If that intervention had really gotten to them, would those villages still be in the same situation that they were in 40 years ago? No. So this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to target the actual farmer so that he gets the benefit and also derive the subsequent bounty that will arrive from what his hard work and sweat. And that will translate into the community. Government does not build houses, does not make cities, but they provide infrastructure. But people build cities. I went to a farm in Nasarawa where they also have a robust agro scheme and a huge rice mill there. And while we went to the farmland, we were looking and looked behind the farmland, and I saw the village. And I said, whose houses are those? And they said, it's the villagers. I said, are you sure it's not your staff quarters or whatever? He said, no, it's the villagers. And those buildings were made of blocks. In fact, some of the roofs, most of them are tin roofs, zinc, but some of them are also aluminium. And they have paint, which is a far cry from the village that is maybe down the road from, that is the farm that I went to. And they have a robust outgrower scheme. So that is what we are looking at. How do we impact on the farmers? How can we improve their livelihood so that they can produce more? We want to make agriculture a business so that they can make money and also incentivize the youth and the women and everybody to invest in agriculture. So we are doing that, and we want to bring out our strategic plan very soon. And you will see, starting from this wet season, you will see the difference in what we have been doing from the past. Like I said, we knew this would be business unusual. I will skip the other one about the ranching. My brother will take that. Then I'll go for the importation of food. Somebody had just mentioned. When we came, yes, when President BOLA TINUBU was sworn in, there was the issue of food insecurity. I didn't want to go into history, but we all knew it didn't start today. Even COVID was a major impact on food security globally. Flooding, naira redesign, and so on and so forth, where farmers did not have access to cash, and they had to slash to get the little, and they couldn't cultivate the following year in 2023. But when we came, I received a lot of complaints that there will not be rice for Christmas. And it was a huge alarm. And we looked at it, we called all our agencies, we called our people out there in the market, the Nigeria Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Service in Zaria, which has a very robust outreach in cultivation, and they told us they were going to have a marginal increase of cultivation of rice from the previous year. So we decided not to raise that alarm and go with it. Christmas had come and gone, and there was no cry that there was no rice. But there was cry of affordability of rice. Yes, I would admit that. But the issue of availability was not in question. Then again, January, February, fast track 2024, again we were told Ramadan is fast approaching, Lent is fast approaching, there will be no rice for Ramadan, there will be no rice for Lent, there will be no rice for Easter, there will be no rice for Salah. Ramadan and Lent and Salah and Easter have gone, and we did not import one bag of rice. There is availability. Maybe the question would be on affordability. Again, the same talk is coming back again. We have seen foreign agencies. Yes, there is a cycle of lean seasons that will come maybe around August, September. It's something that is there usually annually. But we have ramped up production, and we are going to ramp up, especially in the wet season. Never has been done. Let me say this, not the never, but targeted interventions, target production. Yes, there have been other, we have seen where they have said that lean seasons are coming and we need to act and we need to do this. Yes, we have engaged them. World Food Program, for instance, usually go to the market with $100 million to buy food for humanitarian purposes. We stopped them last year. There was no cry. We just imagine if World Food Program goes into the market with $100 million, and also the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Production, who has 25 billion naira in its budget to buy food reserve, that will spike the price in the market. We stop them and we ask them to put that money into production. Don't come to us. Don't give us. Go and devise a method where you can invest and then offtake from the farm. And I think that's the best way to go about doing this. So we are still working, we're looking, and we are still going to meet this week, assess the situation. There's still harvest going on now for rice in Jigawa, in Kebbi, in Borno, in Kano. Jigawa State Governor, you must have listened to him, maybe it was in the news a couple of days ago, where he thinks where the assessment that they have for rice in the dry season is 200,000 hectares. And I believe Kebbi also, which is the #1 rice, and Niger will also equal that. So if Jigawa will produce 25% for the national demand, I think Kebbi and Niger and Kano would also equally do the same. So at the end of the day, we have seen in the past, you mentioned about the issue of CBN AMCO borrowers. There has been a lot of talk, both negative and positive. I looked at it from the point of view that let us look at the successes of the CBN AMCO borrowers and utilize that success, and look at where they have failed and move away. And so it should be a learning. We should not discard the AMCO borrowers completely. Then the issue of nasal microfinance, nasal microfinance, and NALDA. You are aware recently the National Council on Privatization had met and had given the preliminary approval that Bank of Agriculture should be merged with National Microfinance, and also looking at the Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation be merged with NASA itself, the de-risking arm. That is all in an action to restructure and recapitalize those two key institutions to provide access to capital and also de-risk agriculture. Access to capital to the smallholder farmer. Now, like we have always been saying, the issue, you have raised the issue of farmer data. What we are trying to do is trying to do it differently. Today you ask anyone to go and give you farm data, the issue will still be the same. What we are going to do is to identify the farmland first. What we have seen today is that you see a farmer without a farmland. But if there is a cultivated farmland, then it means there's a farmer on that farmland. So what we're trying to do now today is we're going to look at the farmland first, and then get who the farmer is, and we register those farmers, not the portfolio farmers. I wouldn't want to say political farmers because I'm a politician, but portfolio farmers and briefcase farmers.
The chief host of the briefing, Minister of Information and National Orientation Alhaji Mohammed Idris, said the ministerial sectoral press briefing was in line with the desire of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to not dwell on fanfare in his first year, but to fully be accountable to Nigerians by projecting the successes recorded in the federal government's development objectives known as the Renewed Hope Agenda. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, I want to especially thank you again for keeping a date with us. We know that you are doing this in the service of our fatherland, and we urge you to please continue to do that. On our part, we will continue to ensure that the platform is created for Nigerians to interact with their leaders. Let me welcome you to the latest of this series of sectoral press briefings to mark the first year anniversary of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. This ministerial briefing, like you know, kick-started last week with its inauguration by his Secretary to the Government of the Federation, His Excellency General George Akume. This, of course, is in line with the desire of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu not to dwell on farm fare in his first year, and was going to be fully accountable to Nigerians by projecting the successes recorded in the federal government's development objectives known as the Renewed Hope Agenda. As a way of recap, the Renewed Hope Agenda has 8 priority areas covering the following: reform for sustained growth, national security, food security, energy and natural resources, infrastructure, human capital development, economic diversification, and governance. By working impactfully across all these areas, President BOLA AHMED TINUBU and the entire administration is determined to leave a lasting transformative impact on Nigeria. Today, we have with us the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, together with his Minister of State, and we will soon be having also the Minister of Aviation to join us. I'm sure he's on his way. He'll be here in a couple of minutes. They will speak to us about what they do in their various ministry, and of course, you, the media, will have the opportunity to ask them questions and make comments where necessary. Distinguished guests and media colleagues, we are resolute in making sure that in communicating government policies and activities, our watchword is to restore trust in public communication. Even as we amplify government programs and policies, it is our continuous desire to ensure that we uphold the truth at all times. We are also creating an enabling environment for all players and stakeholders in the media and information ecosystem to thrive. One highlight of this is the desire and the directive of Mr. President to the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment through the Bank of Industry to extend single-digit interest rate financing to all media organizations in the country. This, the President believes, will help to cushion some of the challenging effects of the high cost of operating the media in this country. It is now incumbent on all media practitioners to develop bankable proposals to access this financing and to take advantage by all the support being granted by the federal government. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have made efforts to ensure that this briefing series receives the widest possible coverage through both the traditional and digital platforms. I would like to urge you, distinguished members of the press, to please, as I always say, report objectively and responsibly, not just through the headlines, but also through the narratives that we're reporting to the world from this press briefing. Our objective here is to inform and educate Nigerians and the world at large, and to ensure that everyone is carried along through the provision of detailed, relevant, credible, and timely information. I urge you, my colleagues, to put the sense of this nation in the front burner. We must ensure that there's a great deal of patriotism in the way we report at all times. I thank you for joining us here today and for being consistent in supporting us to make this ministerial press briefing series a resounding success.
The Renewed Hope Agenda has 8 priority areas covering the reforms of sustained growth, national security, food security, energy, natural resources, infrastructure, human capital development, economic diversification, and governance. And on that note, we wrap it up for the program this week. Please join us again next week on the same station. I am Khadija Oluwatoyin. Thanking you for watching.